Hello and welcome everyone to a new episode on this channel. My name is David Scholl. Today is Sunday, the 27th of July, and in this episode we're going to talk about what the visual patient avatar is, why its visualizations look the way they look, and what it can do for situation awareness. So the visual patient avatar really is a translation of the numerical information that we find on our patient monitoring into an avatar. Why do we translate it? Because we humans are much better at recognizing form, frequency, and color than we are at interpreting a lot of numbers, especially when they have to be interpreted at the same time. Because Mika Ensley, who spent her career researching situation awareness, defined as one of the principles of situation awareness-oriented interface design to show information direct. The avatar uses visualizations that have a logical commonality with the reality they represent. As a recap here from one of the previous videos, a picture can provide a bridge towards more complex data. Here we can see a picture of the version of the avatar commercially available as the Philips Visual Patient Avatar, and its vital signs that it translates into intuitive, direct information from the numerical data. Now let's walk through a case. Let's imagine a patient just being brought into an operating room and they are undergoing an anesthesia induction. The first thing we frequently connect to our patients are the ECG leads. In the avatar, the ECG heart rate is represented as this yellow arrow, which can be either at a normal speed, at a very low speed, or at a very high speed, depending on the set thresholds. The representation of the yellow arrow in the avatar for electrical heart activity was chosen because in the medical textbooks it's frequently shown as a yellow arrow. I believe that has multiple reasons, but one of them is that in general electricity is depicted as yellow. If we look at children's drawings, then they draw electricity as yellow. And furthermore, the electrical conduction system is also conducting electricity like nerves, and nerves in the human body are yellow because they have their myelin sheet that's fatty, and fat is yellow. With the ECG leads connected, we also get respiratory rate from thoracic impedance, and this respiratory rate is represented as the breathing rate of the avatar's lungs, and this can also be either too high, normal, or too low. And another information we get from the ECG leads is the SD segment data, and the SD segment is shown in the avatar as a dark spot over the heart. Why did we choose to show a dark spot? Because also if we look at myocardial infarction pictures or hypoxemia pictures, also in real hearts, we will see that it causes a dark spot over the heart. So with just the ECG connected, we get this direct information from our patient, and it feels quite different than reading and interpreting these numbers. If we connect a pulse oximetry sensor, we get data from pulse rate, which can be too low, normal, or too high. It's shown as this pulsation of the pulse wave going through the avatar's body. The logical commonality with the reality is the feeling of the pulse wave at different parts of the body, and also the seeing of the pulsation of the pulse in a surgeon's microscope, for example, during a procedure. We also get oxygen saturation information. That's the color of the avatar, which is, when it's normal, this light brown color, and a cyanotic color, just like cyanotic extremities, and a light blue color that represents the color of liquid oxygen in the case of a very high oxygen saturation. Blood pressure is represented as the intensity of the pulsation of the avatar's body. It can be very intense, high blood pressure, normal, that's when the pulsation reaches the white line, which classifies the normal, and too low, that's when the pulsation does not reach the white line. This makes it easy to understand for the care provider when the normal is reached or not. Now we established the basic monitoring for our patient, and we can begin pre-oxygenation for the anesthesia. So we are putting a face mask on the patient's mouth and nose, and the avatar will show the expiratory CO2 coming from the respirator as either a too high, normal, or too low expiratory CO2 cloud. So this is actually meant to represent CO2, which is a odorless and colorless gas in reality. We can also see peak inspiratory airway pressure, which is the pressure in the trachea of the avatar, which can also be either too high, normal, or too low when the pressure indicator is not reaching the walls of the trachea. Tidal volume is represented also in a logical commonality with the reality. It's the size of the extension of the lungs during the breathing cycle. Can be too high, a lot of air going into the lungs. Normal, the extension of the lungs reaching the white line. And too low, the extension of the lungs not reaching the white line. Inspiratory oxygen concentration uses the same colors as oxygen saturation. So if the lungs and the airway turn light blue, it means the oxygen concentration is too high. And if they turn into the cyanotic look, then it's too low. And in their normal, they have the color of normal lung tissue. Let's say now our patient has been pre-oxygenated, the lungs turn light blue, and we are ready to intubate the patient. Before we do so, let's connect a brain activity monitoring device. This can be either the PSI by Massimo or the BIS by Medtronic or several others to the best of my knowledge. And it will be represented in the avatar as either open eyes or closed eyes. Sleeping comics we have closed eyes, and in awake we have open eyes. Now we give the patient some propofol and they fall asleep, and we will also measure neuromuscular function, and depending on the top value the patient will be either relaxated with floppy limbs or not relaxated with thumbs up. We show the thumbs up because neuromuscular relaxation is measured at the musculus adductor pollicis, the thumb muscle. And in the floppy visualization, it's like some aerial yoga when the extremities are hanging down and gravity is pulling everything down. Now that our patient has been intubated well, we will measure its body temperature, can be either high or low. In high we see these heat waves ascend from the body, and in low we see these snow crystals, very familiar icons. The venous pressure is shown in the avatar as the status of the vena cava, which can be too high, normal, or too low, the filling level. And the cardiac output is shown as the number of erythrocytes and blood being expelled here from the aorta. It can be either too high, normal, or too low. Now we look at this fully monitored patient, and it will be relatively easy for us to see when a parameter is leaving its normal, given the fact that a lot of our vital signs don't have alarms set regularly. It becomes apparent that the visual representation on the monitor helps greatly in giving a quick overview of the situation. I hope you all enjoyed this excursion into the design aspects of the visual patient avatar. We will talk about the situation awareness science and some case examples in the next episodes. With this, we say goodbye to you from Zurich, Switzerland, and may you always have good situation awareness and keep closing the holes in the Swiss cheese. Thank you, bye-bye.